5 bay doors, please, pal.
All right.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration?
Look at the coast. We get together, have a few laughs.
A Movie Odyssey with Brad Patel and Gus Trout.
I got a haircut.
Yeah, it looks good.
If that was a thing last time.
It must have been.
I get sick of it. My mop. And then, are you going to John Lyon's thing at the drive-in?
I just don't know any details. Yeah, tell me more about that.
Well, I don't know where I got wind of it, but he's screening that. What's that?
Unearthed.
Yeah, Unearthed at the drive-in.
Jordan Moorframes did all the visual effects. Jordan.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he did all the VFX. Most of them.
What VFX are in it?
Lots of like drilling.
Oh, that's right.
Things like in the distance, or like tons of stuff, like the curtains open and like you can see cast members on the other side of the curtain, like stuff like.
Oh, really?
Like hidden stuff that you wouldn't think. Like David Fincher.
Rig removal.
Yeah.
So he's screening it this Thursday. I think if you just go to the website, you can get it.
Oh, cool.
Still.
I'm just sort of like out of the loop.
Yeah. So, hey gang, welcome. My name's Brad Patello. I'm joined by my good friend Gus Trout, and we got a couple things going on here. So we're gonna have a marathon. The next 4 episodes, starting with this one, are going to be all John Carpenter movies. So we're having a John Carpenter marathon.
Wahoo!
And tonight we got a twofer: Escape from
Double
New York
feature.
Escape from New York, 1981. Escape from L.A., 1996. Whoo, boy, that L.A. one. I don't know when you want to start like ripping on that one, but
well, we'll get into it. But man, I'll just say I remember seeing the trailers and having an idea of what Escape. I don't think I had seen Escape from New York in its entirety yet. I think I remember catching it with my dad whenever the boxing ring gladiator fight.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Is like the first introduction I had to that movie.
Classic.
They were advertising the fuck out of Escape from LA.
I remember.
The trailer was the whole scene where he throws the can up.
Yeah, that was. They showed that whole scene. That's like one of the best bits in the movie.
Is it though?
I remember being super hyped for LA. Like I was a huge fan of New York. I fell in love with that movie in college, and I was so pumped to see it. And then I saw it. I'm like, oh.
It is insane. I was texting Brad while watching it, and
I just get this text thread that says, wow, 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 wow.
Yeah. And then you said that how many times you wrote, oh my God, in your notes. And I was like, dude, me too. Like I was uncontrollably going, oh my God, like so many times that I like noticed myself doing it.
Oh yeah. Like at least 6 times in my notes.
Well, I think what makes it so surprising. It's John Carpenter, just like in the 90s. I don't know, man. He was smoking too much weed or.
Yeah. I don't know what he was thinking with that second movie.
He didn't have Dean Cundy, I'll tell you that much.
That's true.
See, okay. The what makes the first one so cool, in my opinion, is that like it's a great simple plot. I love how the intro is laid out, where it just is like Manhattan is just an island. There's no guards on it, or it's just a prison. There's no guards on it. It's just prisoners. And there's a giant 50-foot wall. And then there's that first shot where it's like starts on the Jeep and it cranes up, and like for its time, for 81, and it being like a low budget movie at, what was it, 6 million?
Super low budget. Yeah.
Super low budget. It is a simple plot premise, but like to visually showcase that cinematically is like a bit of a chore. Like it's supposed to be New York City, and it's supposed to be in the future, and there's all these different gangs and all these characters, and making the city feel alive. And I like that he's like walking around and there's just like people like that are like not bothering him. It has the world building is fantastic, basically.
Yeah.
And just as a film like admirer, you can see like you're like, okay, this is low budget, but they're like fucking killing it. It's
you can see
cinematic
that.
and awesome, and it works.
Yeah, you can see it that it's low budget, but it looks, both movies look cheap, but New York looks cheap in a way that doesn't detract, or it enhances the storytelling. Like the city looks run down. They clearly shot a lot of it on sound stages, with matte paintings. The only thing you actually see of New York is either a matte painting or a model. Everything was filmed in,
which those models look better than a movie made in 1981 on a shoestring budget looks a billion times better than its predecessor,
which they spent 50 million on.
Yes, and they both made 25 million.
Yeah, second movie cost $50 million to make that thing.
I was watching a making of, and the producer was like, "This is the most visually stunning movie I've almost ever seen," or something like that. I was like, "Jesus Christ, lady!"
About LA?
Yeah, yeah. They were like hyped. They were like super excited to get back into it, at least in these interviews. You know what I mean? Of course, they're making it.
I think John Carpenter to this day says he prefers the second one.
Yeah, because he is high as fuck all the time.
He's just so high.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? The first one is like, they shot everything, all the interiors are sound stages in LA, and all the exteriors are shot in St. Louis. There was a couple moments where I wrote down, like, I wish this was during the day, like the final bridge scene. I wrote, I wish this was day, because it would have been cool to see the skyline. But obviously they didn't have
like maybe early morning. That would have been
like
cool.
the sun's coming up.
Yeah.
Because how much time do they give him in the first movie?
He has 24 hours, and then whenever they start the clock, he's like, I thought he had 24 hours, because it's like, they've already wasted a couple hours getting him.
So it's a full day and night.
It's kind of the first one, well, both of them, but since the first one came out first, the kind of the chicken and the egg question, what came first with the it's such a video game. The premise, one man going in, here's the situation, and there's like the whole shot of laying out his gear is like Uzi and his Magnum and his ninja stars. Which, does he use his ninja stars? They're really fucked up there.
Yeah, that's Chekhov's gun right there. He's like, don't give him ninja stars if he's not going to throw them at someone. Did he? Maybe I missed it. I don't know. I don't think he did. I
also love how when they want to make a gun futuristic back in the day, they just put like a giant scope on it. It's like, this Uzi is like for close quarters, is not a range gun. It's like a spray gun, and he's got a fucking like giant like telescopic scope on it.
Yeah, the first movie, 1981, John Carpenter's second collaboration with Kurt Russell. First was an Elvis TV movie, apparently, which was a drama. So in 1981, there's a lot going on with this movie. It's low budget, but sort of it gets a lot of hype. Casting Kurt Russell in this kind of role was kind of, in 1981, it was kind of a little bit of a coup, because he had been known for like kids stuff and family Disney type stuff up till that point.
He plays it perfect.
Yeah. So it's his first kind of badass role. And then New York City kind of has this reputation in the late 70s and early 80s of being dirty and crime ridden. So they kind of capitalize on the city's less than savory reputation.
I read somewhere that it was Watergate that is first inspired his, which I don't really understand quite the tie-in there.
the plot involving the president, he's got a briefcase that he's trying to get.
Well, okay, it starts with that guy hitting the door, and it's like clearly he was like, don't really hit this door because it's like made of paper. And it looks so bad.
We just rented an airplane set for the day and we can't damage it.
But when he comes back, I like the logic where it gives the president, he's asking all these questions. Can we do this? What about this? What about this? I like it gives the president like some authority, and that he's not just some idiot. He's of sound mind.
President's a kind of an important player in this, played by Donald Pleasance,
who's a Carpenter regular, obviously.
Terrorists take over Air Force One. He escapes in his escape pod and crashes into New York City, which, as we are told in the opening narration, performed by an uncredited Jamie Lee Curtis.
New York City, shit! I forgot about that.
Yep, Jamie Lee Curtis. I was trying
that opening. I'm so fucking down. The music and just like when you go in, you don't come out, and then John Carpenter.
I love the score classic. And all of John Carpenter's films.
It adds a really like unique tone to the whole picture, where I feel like if it was made by somebody else, it would have like some like electric guitar bullshit that would be really generic.
It's so simple. Like all the score music is all it's like 3 elements or maybe. It's like a bass line, maybe a drum,
some synth,
and then some synth. And that's it.
Yeah, it's awesome. When the glider scene. Well, okay. Anyway, so the plane crashes.
Yeah, the New York City is now a prison. That's the first conceit we're asked to buy. It's the year 1997, way in the future, and the futuristic year of 1997.
Yeah, guns with scopes on it.
New York City is now a prison. The president's plane crashes there. Snake Plissken, played by Kurt Russell, has to go in and rescue him.
Well, Snake Plissken's just been arrested and is actually about to be like put in. He's going to like into Manhattan, into the maximum security prison, if he likes it or not.
Yes.
But before we are introduced to Snake, he's like being like let in to like the, what do they call it? Like it's like mission control or something.
Yes.
And
like that. I don't know.
But then the initial rescue team goes out to the escape pod and it's empty, and they're met by one guy. I forget his name.
Oh, I love that guy.
That henchman is the coolest. He is such a great character. He is such a if you had never seen this movie and you watched a lot of anime and you watched this movie, you'd be like, whoa, they were like ripping off this like anime characters.
Yeah, he does have this anime feel to him.
Yeah, just his costume design's great and how he moves. The costume design across the board is really good for being so low budget. It's really creative and
super low budget, but they got a lot of famous people to be in it. Lee Van Cleef, Ernest Borgnine, Harry Dean Stanton, Adrian Barbeau, and Isaac Hayes.
Isaac Hayes, yeah, the Duke.
The Duke. I like Lee Van Cleef in this.
Yeah, he's great. His earring.
Yeah, it's the future as depicted in the 80s. So everybody has big earrings. So yeah, Lee Van Cleef's kind of his contact on the outside. Like Lee Van Cleef is the character that sends him in, sort of this archetypal, I guess, mentor / hard ass mentor type.
If you get any closer, he dies. If you touch me, he dies. If you don't leave in 20 seconds, he dies. It's such a great setup.
They hightail it out of there.
Yeah, and now they're fucked. What do? They send in fucking Snake Plissken.
Send in Snake. He lands on the World Trade Center in a glider.
Which is hilarious because he's in a fucking glider and he's going through like between buildings, and the World Trade Center is towered over the New York skyline. And he like, don't worry, I'm almost there. And he's like fucking pulls up and goes up hundreds of feet.
I liked that scene.
That scene is actually awesome. There's some really nice model shots.
Yeah, so I'm gonna say like
Really effective.
the effects in this are just enough, and like I said, it looks cheap, but it looks cheap appropriately, unlike its sequel. Like
It rides the line also of like it's being serious, but in this kind of fun, cool way
yeah,
that's not supposed to be taken seriously, like overly seriously. It's just serious enough.
I think John Carpenter was good at that. Like
Yeah. Well, he
riding
was good at that.
in the '80s, he was really good at that,
Yeah.
riding the line between good and schlock. Like
Yeah.
his movies didn't take themselves too seriously, but they were just so cool, especially this string of films he had in the '80s that we're going to talk about.
Jesus, just killing it.
And he writes his own music for most of them.
Yeah.
It's a score by John Carpenter on a synth, and it gives it this very distinct identity, which was mimicked in Stranger Things.
Yeah. The score of Big Trouble in Little China is the ultimate, and in my opinion, best John Carpenter score, because it's the Big Trouble in Little China score that I think especially is stolen so much in like Daft Punk's music and stuff and Stranger Things.
It's just classic. It's like gives his movie such a unique feel and fits so well, and it's so simple. It's always just very, just like his movies are pretty simple. Like
but see where it doesn't work to me in LA.
Oh, well, all right. So LA,
we'll get there, but it works in New York. Like I have honestly,
well, in LA, he hired Shirley Walker. He hired Shirley Walker to help with the score in LA. True Lies, Final Destination 1 through 3, Black Christmas, Willard.
Oh, Black Christmas is one of my buddy Jay's like favorite movie.
These are all films scored by Shirley Walker. Nightbreed, The Ghoulies, Dungeon Master, Pacific Heights.
What kind of like a cult classic composer?
But yeah. So the music in New York is really good and simple. Lots of green sky, green lights, green graphics, color green everywhere in big letters. Clearly not Air Force One. The plane crashing into New York City. I know this is pre 9/11, but was there any aftermath to that? Like, wouldn't a plane crashing into a city be more destructive than what's depicted in this movie? It does crash into the city, right?
Well, they were smart by showing it in the computer simulation only.
Yeah, you don't really see it. You see like a tracking shot, like the plane's point of view going toward a model. Yeah. And then it cuts to the computer.
I admire all that kind of those tricks of like cutting corners when you can, because
sure.
Because if you don't and you try to make it as right, but you visit the crash site of
Air Force
escape
One.
pod.
I think you see the downed Air Force One at one point.
Oh, I guess you do, yeah.
Because that's kind of the first place he
Snake
goes.
walks past it, yeah.
Which is what they tried to do in LA, which is part of why it didn't work.
Well, we're missing a very good important plot point. They inject Snake, where they say like, "Oh, we're going to inject you with some kind of like tracking thing or something," and then they inject them with some kind of microscopic pill that will blow up in 24 hours.
It's going to blow your head off.
Basically. Yeah, if he doesn't do it, well, it's not going to blow his head off. It's going to blow his arteries up, and then he's just going to bleed out from the inside. And
they did the exact same thing in the second movie. Like the second movie is just such a.
I actually kept I started it for a while, but I kept a sequel.
Like all the things they do in the sequel that was just the exact same story beat or character from the first movie.
Exactly. But again, it's just, I think what I admire the most of this movie is just the plot is so simple and brilliant.
But the world building, like you said, it's 33 minutes in, there's a theater scene, which I think really kind of establishes that the prisoners like have their own society.
It's all these guys throwing like a cabaret show or something.
So that's kind of the first marker that he goes to. He visits the
Right. He's
crash
trying to,
site.
he's fine because that's the he has like a tracker that that should take him to some beacon that the president has on him.
Yeah, he goes in, tries to find the president. He lands his glider on the top of the World Trade Center. You don't see any landmarks in this movie. Like the poster art has like the head of the Statue of Liberty lying in the street, nowhere to be seen in the movie.
Yeah, but then there's like in LA, there's like the whole first montage of the earthquake. Or like, look, it's the Chinese theater. Look, it's this place in LA. Look, it's that place in LA. It's like,
oh god, they did that.
Who gives a shit?
Yeah. Well,
there's no point where I'm not like, it's not taking me out of the movie. Like where I'm like, this isn't New York City. It feels like New York City to me.
Yeah. No, it's fine. I mean,
yeah. Well, we're introduced to the cabbie, who's a great character,
Ernest Borgnine.
Yeah, yeah. I love that how he's enjoying the show and stuff. I love the setup of with just the team up of like Cabbie taking Snake to see the brain.
Yeah,
just that little team up there. It's great.
Yeah, the brain and whatever Adrian Barbeau's character's name is, and Cabbie end up helping Snake. There's some twists and turns. They meet the villain Isaac Hayes, who's captured the president and is using him for target practice. And then they capture Snake and make him fight in a gladiator scene.
I love that scene when he's trying to, like, he's just fucking with the president. He's trying to shoot the chain off of his cuffed briefcase.
There's a lot of great.
What does he have him say?
Like you're the Duke or something. Like,
you're the man.
You're a number one.
Yeah, a number one.
They do have they go through an entire day in the New York movie. In the LA movie, I think he only has 10 hours or something, or 8 hours.
Yeah, it's not as long.
So you do. The one thing about this movie is I had wished there were more daytime scenes, but that again would have meant shooting in New York City, which I guess would have been more expensive. I guess they were keeping the budget down by not shooting it there. It just felt too isolated. There was no context to it. Should have.
I know what you mean. My biggest complaint with the movie is the sound design.
Oh yeah,
it's really bad. The premise is awesome. The characters are great. You know, the action for its time is whatever. It totally works for the movie, and the pace of the movie is nice. It's just the sound design is like, he might punch somebody and then there's no foliage for whenever they land. It's just like all these missing parts constantly. It just feels off. It's really diluted. There's no punch to it.
The gun sounds are fairly cartoony too, aren't they?
Yeah, pretty stock. They really fucked up with LA. They should have waited a while.
I thought the action, it was fine. I mean, there wasn't a lot of it.
When they're in the car and they're like, drive down Main Street or Broadway or something, and the girl's like, are you crazy? But it's like they're getting away from the Duke, so it's like no one's going to drive down this street because you'll get totally fucked over, which they almost do. But the car, how they had to shoot that, for whatever, safety purposes or whatever, they had to drive the car really slow.
Oh,
he's not he could be slamming into people and they're going up over it could be a little lackluster.
Yeah. I guess they couldn't afford car stunts.
Right. And I understand that. And it's awesome for what it is. This movie is very impressive.
Yeah. Considering the budget and just how simple the premise is, I think that's what you have to do, is keep it simple, not overcomplicate. The character has a clear goal. All the characters have clear goals.
Like in LA, Buscemi's character is supposed to be like Cabbie's character. He's a tour guide.
Right.
And he is double crossing him all the time, and will not die. He's avoiding death at all times. And just
he changes loyalties several times in that movie.
I love Dean Cundy's lens flares.
Ooh, yeah. There's some good lens flares.
Amazing shot. Shooting at night must be really hard and I don't think I'm sure they like had a rush production. Every now and then there are shots that are like breathtaking. There's a shot that's Snake's, you're following behind him and he's walking down this alley. It's pretty wide. And there's this like half moon lens flare and just the lighting, and it's so crisp. It looked really good.
Dean Cundy, man.
Yeah, he's the man.
He shot Roadhouse.
Hell yeah.
But it seemed like the characters, you know what I mean, were introduced in locations that kind of, you know, he meets Cabby at the Broadway show, and then he meets Brain at the library.
Yeah.
So the characters are being set up by being established in locations that kind of complement their personality or whatever they bring to the plot.
Yeah. So okay, he teams up with the Brain. They kind of evade the Duke because the Duke comes knocking on Brain's door, and they end up getting captured. And well, they almost have the president. Like they sneak in.
Yeah, that's right.
Bull's like, hey, the Duke sent me here, or Brain's like, hey, the Duke sent me here, yada yada yada. Anywho, I like the idea that Snake gets injured like halfway through the movie and he's limping the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
He's maimed. Yeah.
Yeah, they get captured by the Duke, and then Snake is forced to fight a gladiator
who's this giant like ogre of a man.
Yeah, and I thought that fight scene was pretty well done.
Yeah.
Honestly.
I like where they're like, okay, first you get baseball bats, and then you get baseball bats with nails in them and a shield, which is just like the top of a trash can lid.
Yeah. He ends up killing the guy by lodging a nail into the back of his skull.
I wrote down the bat to back of the head effect.
Yeah.
Like, because I mean, it's like a full swing to a stop. And it sticks. I don't know how they did that.
Yeah, I noticed that too. However they did that shot, I don't know if it was.
And I love the turn, like where like Snake wins over like the respect of all the prisoners.
Yeah, that happens in the basketball scene.
Yeah.
I just can't think of any of these scenes without thinking of their counterpart from.
I know, it's almost like I should have watched Escape from New York second. LA makes New York like the best movie ever made.
Yeah. Well, watching them back to back, it's like
I took a day in between.
Well, yeah, I watched it the next day, but it's just so hit you over the head obvious how it's like the exact same movie. Like it's ridiculous. But the effect when the gladiator dies, and then he just sort of slumps over the fence.
Yeah, that was the first introduction to this movie when I was young. I don't remember how old I was, but I was pretty young, and I was like, what the fuck is this? This is sweet.
It seems like the scene of the movie almost.
Yeah, so I love when they find the president again and he has a wig on. They put a wig on him to humiliate him. It's so good. There's these great little touches throughout. I love that.
Yeah. Build character.
They get into Cabby's cab. And they go for and Brain has this like layout of where all the mines are, because all the bridges are mined, which is a thing they set up at the beginning. It's kind of like the climax, I guess.
Yeah, there's kind of a chase scene on the bridge. There is a car stunt on the bridge. There's that explosion leading to the car flipping over.
Yeah, the car splits completely in half. Everybody's fine except for Cabby.
Yeah, Cabby dies. Well, everybody kind of dies on
which
the bridge.
They give a nice send off to Cabby. There's a nice long shot of him where Snake kind of checks on him and he's dead, and he kind of gives him like a pat, and then he runs off, and then the camera lingers on Cabby.
Yeah,
and it's just again great little moment that a lesser filmmaker probably would have overlooked that opportunity.
Yeah, and there's some good character building there too, to show that Snake really cared about him a little bit, you know.
Snake will get, when respect's due, he'll dish it out.
I'm not sure that the other two get, because Brain and Adrian Barbeau both die presently.
Right. Well, right, because basically now they're on foot, and Brain saying go left or go right or whatever. Anyways, he's wrong. He goes the other way and he explodes
Right.
and goes
That's-
flying, and he's dead. And
Yeah.
Adrian Balboa is like,
She just goes out in a blaze of glory.
which is cool. I think they could have set that up better, where there was a better coverage when she's shooting, the reaction of a shot of like it, like just her shots being maybe not hitting the Duke, but being like really close to hitting him.
Yeah, I agree. I thought there could.
It's just sort of like she's shooting, and you understand the intent. She's like, "Fuck this! I'm standing my ground."
Yeah, I don't know if that reads well. I don't know how well that's staged.
And then she just fucking gets smashed, and then that's probably the goriest scene. It's just like the shot of her on the ground,
Yeah,
covered in blood. So Snake and the President reach the wall. The Duke starts shooting from the hip, because why would you aim?
Yeah.
Snake goes for a big dive. He has to dive off the rubble. There's a little scuffle between him and Duke.
And then the president shoots.
Well,
him.
I love that. Duke, Snake starts going up the thing, and the winch stops.
Right.
And you're like, whoa, who did that? Like, oh, are they fucking Snake over? And then the president's up there, and he just lights up the Duke, and he says the line,
yeah, you're a number one.
Yeah. I love that. That's
Good death scene of the Duke,
yeah.
too. Like the shot of him being hit, like nice shapes there, nice triangle there, and just the stage really well. It's in silhouette, so it's not too graphic. But then you get the reverse shot where he falls over, and it's pretty dead.
Yeah.
But not too graphic, but he gets his comeuppance.
I really like the scene with the president being pampered and like shaved and getting prepared for this like video conference.
Yeah.
And how quickly he changes back to like very presidential.
Yeah.
He was fighting for his life, and now he's just like, thanks, Snake. Good job. I got to do this thing, so shut the fuck up.
Now I'm getting shaved.
And then, of course, Snake has the last laugh. He has the cabbie's jazz music.
Oh,
and he destroys the other tape, which supposedly should have led to the end of the world. My final notes on Escape from New York: simple, short, sweet, great world building, great characters. In my opinion, nothing lands like perfectly right, but it's just almost there. And then just the fact that it's a super clever low budget movie.
Yeah, I agree. It's a good, fun romp for what they were trying to pull off, and for what budget they were working with. They did a really good job. I don't know if I want to say it's a great movie. It's a very good movie. It's a classic. It's a movie I love to watch. Like,
yeah.
I've seen it multiple times. It's one.
I agree. Jordan said the same thing. Like, it's like you almost like the movie more for not necessarily like it's the full payoff. It's just the premise is so great.
Yeah,
the world building's great. It's just Snake Plissken's a great character.
It's fun and watchable.
Mm-hmm.
They have a lot of really good character actors in it. You know, doing
if you haven't seen
job.
Escape from New York, we didn't like, even though we spoiled the entire thing for you, which is what we do here.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
We highly recommend Escape from New York. Escape from LA, however,
oh boy,
I might recommend that for a different
reason.
reason.
I would recommend it for a different reason, and I would recommend it watching it with friends, and I would recommend it being under the influence of all things or one thing or something.
Oh yeah. Well,
opening credits.
The
first note.
Movie.
Opening credits. ...
graphics.
Yikes! It's even more dated than the other one. Somehow.
The first one was just words and like synth
Yeah.
music. The second one had these graphics like that were, it was like a targeting computer.
And do you know what they do in the 90s is they found out that if you throw in a white frame, it kind of gives it this like flash effect that kind of has, they'll do that sometimes with like say somebody gets like cracked in the head.
Yeah.
They'll just do a white frame. And it's like a really good impact frame effect when it's been played forward, and you're not actually, they do that in anime all the time. They do that in Star Wars whenever a ship gets blown up.
Yeah.
There's just a single frame where it's the whole screen is just white, but they are just going to town with that effect at the beginning of the
Every
opening
time,
credits.
every time a credit comes in, it's that flash effect.
So this is 1996. This was made 15 years later.
So right off the bat, there's so much more stuff they're asking you to buy. So it's like, okay, first we got to make LA an island. So that's the first thing they do. All right, there's an earthquake and LA is now an island.
So if I have any Community fans out there, I don't remember what season it is, but they Abed wants to make a student film, and they have this clip of Chang where he's like, they have like an audition tape of Chang where he's reading off like a handful of lines, and they just reuse that footage for like the entire movie. And it's this like whole crazy space adventure thing with really bad effects. And those effects that are in this movie, this fake movie in this show Community, are supposed to be horrible effects, like the worst effects ever, are better effects than the effects in this movie, which had $50 million and like people were like working hard and like earnestly on this movie to make it good.
Oh my God, the special effects in this movie are
How long is that submarine shot or scene?
It's just the worst. Well, first of all, the 90s and the early 2000s were just not good for computer animation. Does anything from that era hold up? Really? I mean,
yeah.
Well,
so this
I would say, all right, so
Jurassic Park.
Well, the thing with Jurassic Park is they were using it sparingly.
Yeah.
They were just doing it. He was smart about it. He was just using CG when he absolutely had to, when he had no other choice. Everything else was practical.
Yeah.
I think movies from that era, the ones that hold up best are the ones where the effects hold up best, are the ones where they did that. Like the first Lord of the Rings trilogy did that too, where it's like they only use CG. They don't use it as a crutch. They use it as a last resort.
Well, hell, when's Labyrinth? 86 maybe? 84? Or maybe it's like 89. Anywho, there's a fully CG owl in that movie that looks 1,000 times better. Again, it's just a CG owl. It's in with a black background, but the animation's correct. It's believable. It kind of has a cool look to it.
I don't know what's happening with the CG in Escape from LA. It's just, it's
insane.
god awful. Like from the very first.
Well, so there's a whole opening earthquake scene.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So, and it's horrible.
And the glass breaking is just like the default After Effects triangle.
Yeah. And
like just the default particle effect from After Effects.
They built this insane like miniature set but it wasn't miniature. It was still like, on hydraulics and stuff. It's like a very big set there's like a parking garage or like, maybe not parking garage. It's a highway system with,
I like that shot.
It doesn't look, cause it's real. That's why it looks pretty good.
They had some practical effects. Yeah. During the earthquake.
It just is so bad. Like, all the people are just going like, whoa, it's they're shaking the camera and people are acting like there's
Yeah, but then they cut to the building and it's just like, it looks like a seventh grader did it.
So long. Yeah, it's pretty bad.
So they have this earthquake scene in LA that's supposed to make LA into an island.
Right. And the setup for it's not a prison, it's where all the deplorables go.
Yeah, or whatever. Because the president, Cliff Robertson, is now like president for life, and he is a totalitarian theocrat. And
so if you can't mesh with that world, you go to LA.
No smoking, no drinking, no drugs, no red meats, etc., etc. Like Stacy Keach lists all the things at one point that
one of the first what Snake Plissken's being like let in because he's been captured again because he's up to some tomfoolery. And the woman goes, "That's Snake Plissken?" ? And He's in the same fucking clothes he was in for the past 15 years, lady. Yes, it's Snake Plissken.
The exact same outfit.
Yes, exact same outfit.
Kurt Russell looks great though.
Oh, I think that his age is more suitable for the character Snake Plissken in LA.
Yeah.
Than it is.
He's like hardened and like grizzled. He's really cool in that role, even if this movie sucks.
Yeah. He is the only thing that like holds the movie together at all. Like,
well, there's some, you got Steve Buscemi, you got
but Steve Buscemi does not want to be there.
No, he's
in fact, I had this like joke in my head that he like hated the movie. This is not like real. This is just in my head, some scenario I came up that he hated the movie so much and he was supposed to die earlier, but maybe he was a dick. So John Carpenter like wrote him in to like never die because he like, there's so many opportunities where he's supposed like to die. And then he like,
yeah, Steve Buscemi did not want to be there.
He's the cabbie replacement character, but then he double crosses him. So it's sort of like, that's like the one time that they're like, oh, we got you. We subverted your expectations.
Yeah, this is the exact same movie.
I wrote such a clone.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The same story beats, the same premise.
The 90s were not nice to John Carpenter. I wrote.
No, they were not.
Yeah. So sequel bits here.
Ridiculous performance by President's Daughter. Look up after. I meant to look her up, but yeah, her performance, I don't know. Maybe she's good in other stuff, but her performance in this,
it's real bad.
But that video
of what? Oh, of her like
when they're showing Snake the videos of like the daughter and like they're projecting it, it's not even like turned.
It's nothing.
They just went in After Effects and stuck it in there and didn't do anything to it. They didn't even like curve it to try to make it look like it was, or make it space.
Like give it some effect that it was like some kind of video effect that it
like there was lines going, like
lines,
snow going through it, or
something. Maybe even making it like a little bit transparent so you can see the guys behind it.
No, none of that. It's just flat on the screen. Like you're
so when in the making of that you can find on YouTube, the producer woman is going, this is one of the most visually stunning movies I've ever seen. They're showing that scene. They cut to that scene with what's his name? Cuervo Jones. Holy fucking shit. That was their first fucking name they came up with, and they said, fuck it, this is great. Cuervo Jones. Holy shit.
The Cuervo Jones. The fine Colombian.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that's the name of the character, Cuervo Jones. I can't see anybody. I don't know these graphics though. I think like
so bad to the point of, was it intentional? I wrote down.
But all right, so let me ask you this: like, when you think of like the absolute worst graphics in a movie, like what? Just handful of movies that come to mind of just having some of the worst computer graphics you've ever seen.
Lawnmower Man.
Yeah, that's definitely.
But at least Lawnmower Man, it's like that's virtual reality, so it's like
his world.
It has like a setting, yeah.
It's not trying to pass it off as the real world.
Johnny Mnemonic has some pretty outdated shit. That's like 95, I think.
Yeah. Prequel to John Wick.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, I mean the 90s, it was like the craft, like, hey guys, we have computers that can do this stuff now. So the craft of visual effects,
making
stuff is just like trashed, and it's like Atlantis.
Like people saw Jurassic Park and they're like, oh, CG, and then they just started using it for everything. Right. And it's like they were just using it because they could at some point. I think people were so in love with this new art form that they didn't see its many glaring flaws. Like I think, and visual effects artists were embracing it too. I very specifically remember a conversation I had with a professor at SCAD.
Yeah.
he was a visual effects artist who had worked on stuff dating back to the 70s. So he's like worked on tons of stuff. And we were talking about the second Mummy, like the scene with the Rock,
Yeah.
Dwayne the Rock Johnson scorpion monster. They have to fight at the end. You remember that thing?
Oh yeah.
He was like, "Oh, I thought that thing looked really good." I'm like, "Are you serious? You thought that looked good?" Like people were looking at this stuff and going, "Okay, that looks good."
Yeah.
Stuff like that, and
I do like those mummy movies though.
Jar Jar Binks, and like,
Yeah.
there's no reason for that mall to be CG. You remember the mall, like, that was in a shot, like it was half underwater and there's a helicopter flying by it, shining its light on it?
Well, that's what I wanted to bring up. The brilliance of the beginning of, like I was bringing up, that great shot where it starts on a Jeep and then the camera cranes up over the wall. They do the first two shots of this movie are the exact same idea.
Yeah.
It's the craning up over the wall. You see some guards on the wall and you see the city scape.
The matte painting.
Yeah. It's incredible in Escape from New York, and in LA it's so bad that in New York it's real helicopters being comped in, real water being comped in LA it's CG helicopters.
Okay.
Insane mix of CG and then like bullshit photoshopped matte paintings.
Yeah.
It is so bad.
That's what they did throughout this movie. Like, there's several moments where Snake will be walking into an area and then they're going to have a whole little scene in this area. And the first shot's always like this wide shot that's got partially practical set and then clearly like CG or badly digitally painted like landmark, like the Capitol building or the Capitol Record building, which looks ridiculous. And then they do that with the Queen Mary, and they do it with the Beverly Hills Hotel, where it's like it just doesn't work. The compositing is just so bad somehow. Like, it looks so fake.
This, like, a randomness to the set design too that does not work. And the whole feeling of it feeling lived in, like the idea of Snake walking around LA is fucking enormous. No one walks around LA. You can walk around New York to an extent. It's just the feeling of it being lived in, and like even just in New York.
He also takes a hang glider.
Oh my God. Don't even bring that up yet. Holy shit. So the cabaret show and the theater, when he meets Cabby and he's looking for the president at the beginning of New York.
Yeah.
That is such a great, smart world building scenario. It's like these prisoners have like made their own world and they have their own gangs. The Duke kind of runs the show, but like no one fucks with the crazies. Don't go down here at night. Like,
they have their own entertainment.
Yes, they have their own entertainment. And the brain is like the guy that is making fuel and coming up with ideas, and it's awesome. This movie has none of that. And if they try to do any of that, none of it fucking works.
Well, it's got like an echo of all that. It's
I
like
do
they
think
tried
that
to do the same thing again, but it's just, it feels like it's just a copy of a copy. You know, it's like
forced, or it just doesn't land at all. I like the idea. It's very creepy and bizarre. And very LA, the face surgery, the plastic surgery guy.
I do like that scene.
And that's Bruce Campbell.
Bruce Campbell. Yeah.
The second best, or maybe the best part of the movie.
I think that scene,
Kurt Russell.
That scene brings it up a notch for me. Just the concept of the scene, and then casting Bruce Campbell.
But that girl's there just to go like, this is exactly what they do. And I was in Rain Man.
And then she dies. Then she dies.
She just fucking gets shot
in the next scene.
All upset about it. Yeah.
Because the Brain's counterpart character is sort of like the hacker Leland Orser's character.
Oh yeah.
but he doesn't do anything. He just like explains the whatever the device is they're trying to get, the EMP grenade or whatever it is they're trying to EMP satellite or something.
I fucking checked out pretty hard in this movie, I'm not gonna lie.
Well, instead of the tape, they got
Like
the
right.
MacGuffin in the first movie. There's the president. There's also a MacGuffin, like a tape or something.
I love that they make it now it's not the president, it's the president's daughter. Like, Jesus Christ, like just get rid of the president shit and make it somebody else important or something like that they haven't been able to get to, and like that's in LA and like they need to get. This is a million things you could
Or
think of.
just have a Snake Plissken movie, but don't have it be a clone of the first one. Like, have him do something else, in LA, sure. In a post-apocalyptic LA, sure, but not the same movie. Anything but
How
what they
bad
did.
is Cuervo Jones?
The Cuervo Jones. He's like the Duke's character, right? I mean, he's replacing
he has the same thing where he has like a car with like crazy shit on it.
pimped out car, except instead of chandeliers, it's a disco ball now.
That actor doesn't give two fucks.
I know. Well, none of the actors want to be there. That's clear. No. Like Steve Buscemi is checked out. Basically, he's cashing the paycheck. That submarine scene.
Oh God, it's
and the
so
shark.
Long. Oh fuck, the shark. Oh, I wrote that down. Yeah, that's one of my. Oh my God, I said. Oh my God, that shark.
That was my first OMG.
Yeah, mine too.
Jump on motorcycle into back of truck.
Yes,
OMG.
Yes. Oh my God.
There's a scene where there's a parade with the villains and Snake's he's in a motorcycle and he jumps into the back of one of the pickups, and it's so bad. Like, it's like somebody just scaled him up in After Effects as he's coming forward.
And then Kurt Russell's just acting like jerking his head back and forth like he just landed in the back of a truck. Yeah. There's just like, again, I don't mind. They could have done the whole clone thing, and like they are trying to ramp it up to be like, they are trying to make it ridiculous and like a crazy batshit crazy action movie.
Yeah, I do get somewhat the impression.
It's like, I get it, but it's not fucking working.
Well, I do get the impression that it is tongue in cheek. Like, it's not totally serious. It is somewhat,
but they're not then pushing it enough in the acting in the script to make it tongue in cheek enough. I'm
not saying it's good. I'm just, you were saying like you think it's secretly a comedy, but
yeah.
And I'm saying I think it is a little bit sort of just supposed to be fun. The first one was a little more serious, I think. Like the tone of it.
Right, but like we said, it rides the line perfectly.
Yeah.
Okay, here's a question.
Okay.
If this movie was fully like a 2D animated movie and nothing changed, the script didn't change, but it was just a 2D animated movie, I think it would, if it was a cartoon, like an adult cartoon, I think it would honestly work.
Well, I was going to ask you kind of a similar question in that I guess just if the special effects were decent in it, would it work?
Even if the special effects were good, the cinematography and the editing and the compositions, everything is so bad. There's almost like no pillow shots. It's always just the characters walking and then cuts to them from like a wider angle walking. There's nothing to it. The whole time I'm cringing at the filmmaking.
Oh yeah. John Carpenter though, what happened?
I don't know. I'm telling you, he just doesn't give a fuck anymore, and he smokes weed 24/7.
So you're saying like if somebody took this movie, everything's exactly the same, but now it's drawn.
Yes.
Like all the cuts are the same, all the shot compositions are the same.
Yep.
So you're thinking that would work?
And it looks like maybe it's like a X-Men from the 90s. Like that. Like that.
The X-Men cartoon.
Mm-hmm.
So it's colorful, or that's the style of the animation?
Sure, like something around that. I honestly think it would work. If it was a cartoon, all of the silliness would work. It's the fact that it's live action and like the live action with the filmmaking capabilities that they're going for, it just doesn't work
Well,
at all.
the shots that they were trying to do, like the ruined Beverly Hills Hotel or the underwater Universal
There's
Studios.
not one good shot in this movie. I'm just talking about just a shot of like it just like Kurt Russell with a horribly scaled, like green screened in image or something.
Oh, I know. But just some of those shots, the concept looked good. Like I wanted to see
I'm
that.
just saying certain things work as cartoons. Like the whole idea of them surfing works in a cartoon. Like
Oh my
you're
God,
just
that scene.
you like, but like you can let it like you can let it slide. Like it would be fun. Like you'd be like, this is insane.
I think I could buy that surfing scene as an animated cartoon.
See,
Yeah.
what am I'm telling you, think of
I-
everything as a cartoon. Like,
Yeah,
like the
he-
shark jumping out of him in the water. You'd be like, yeah, that makes sense. That's like a cartoon shit.
So that surfing scene.
I don't
how
think
bad
I
was
can't even
that?
get into the plot or like remember how it even works.
Well, we just told you the plot. It's the same as the first one.
I know, but
he goes to LA. Stacy Keach is now the Lee Van Cleef character. Who I like Stacy Keach in other stuff. I liked, again, the casting. I like Stacy Keach, and I liked Michelle Forbes too. I like the two of them together. Like they work together, but in a better movie.
Nothing fucking works in this movie.
Yeah.
I just think that's the thing about LA. Like it's not like New York at all. A lot of LA is just like sprawling, like nothing. Like it's just like
the city itself.
Yeah, it's just like a 7-Eleven attached to.
Well, he does hang glide from the Hollywood sign to
fucking shit.
So we got to talk about the surfing scene. We got to talk about the hang gliding scene.
And the basketball scene.
Oh, the basketball scene. Yeah. I kind of like that scene.
Oh my God. I was remembering it as kind of being cool. Like,
I guess he genuinely made all those shots.
Yeah.
You see the last shot where he throws it all the way across the court. That was real. Yeah. I mean, you saw it all in one shot.
But doesn't Cuervo Jones say none of that 3-point shit?
Well, yeah, but I think all he had to do was sink it.
Yeah.
So the surfing scene, I keep coming back to that. I love that scene. Like ironically, like
oh my God,
the shots
where Buscemi is like, what does he say? You texted it to me.
You got to be kidding me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the green screen and oh my God.
I remember that moment when I was like super pumped for this movie when it came out in the theater. I went and saw it in the theater. I was super excited to see it. Mm-hmm. And I specifically remember that moment because I remember when Steve Buscemi says, "You got to be kidding me." I remember thinking, yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah, like, oh God.
He's like speaking as the audience there.
Yeah, I mean,
those shots, the compositing in those shots where he's like driving the car and it's like just bad green screen, and then the car's over here and the waves in front and Kurt Russell's riding the waves.
It's like the previs version that they didn't like go back in and make any passes on anything.
So they got the first shot where I'm going to do straight up shot by shot analysis of this scene.
Yes, please.
They got this first shot where the wave takes out the dune buggy.
Yeah.
Oh, we forgot to mention that Peter Fonda is in this. Surfing.
I've never been a fan of Peter Fonda. Like he's fine in Easy Rider because he like barely does anything.
Did he direct that? I think he directed that.
No, I think
or
that
he
was
wrote it.
Well, him and
the two of them.
Yeah.
Him and Dennis Hopper, like one of them wrote and one directed it.
Yeah, I think Hopper directed.
Anyway,
but anyways, it's Peter Fonda. I don't know why he's so fucking famous. But
so we get they takes out the dune buggy, and then there's the shot where they lift off, which is you see them. So it's Kurt Russell and Peter Fonda on a green screen with like on a stage with like a surfboard underneath them. And they're acting, and so the water comes up underneath them, and they just lift up.
Yeah,
Like somebody just took After Effects and just took this layer and went like this with it. Like,
Yeah.
and then
position key, yeah.
it cuts to like a side shot, and there's stunt doubles who are really surfing in the side shots. So they filmed like people actually surfing that are stunt doubles. But then there's close-ups of Kurt Russell, and he's clearly just
Right. It's from like the waist up. Yeah.
yeah, he's clearly just on a stage pretending to surf. And then they got this wave behind him, and then he sees Buscemi. Like you see Buscemi's car driving along the side of the ridge where the waves like catching up to him. And there's several shots like Buscemi's car is just like stuck in there. Like it doesn't match at all. The lighting doesn't match at all. The car looks like it was filmed over here and the wave was filmed over there. And
oh, it's like jaw-droppingly horrible. It's so bad that you almost I would love like this. There should be a TV show where it's like these young filmmakers are going to try to recreate these like amazing moments in film, and they're like and that's one of the challenges is like the
recreate the surfing scene,
the Great American Reshoot.
I think
there's a TV show, guys.
I think they could probably do it better. I think like a high school student with After Effects could do it better now.
Or it would look exactly the same, or like on the same level.
Yeah. I mean, it's like cut and paste. Like they didn't even, the elements in the shots are just stuck in. Like they're not shaded. There's no effort made to make it look like they're all part of the same shot. Especially
we'll do it in post. This is post.
Wait, this is post. And then
yeah, holy shit. It's
and so
unbelievable.
Kurt Russell says to Peter Fonda, Snake says, "See you later," and they do a high five on their surfboards.
Yeah.
And then Snake jumps over to Buscemi's car and like
Lands
grabs
on,
on and he's holding onto the car now.
Like, why the fuck is Buscemi there? Like in the like
I don't know. Like how they got all apparently. So I read some behind the scenes on that scene.
Yeah.
I guess the there's a Blu-ray somewhere where they have a commentary track.
I would fucking
and
love to listen to that commentary.
The effects supervisor's on the commentary track, and he basically apologizes for that scene. He said it was his idea. He pitched the idea to John Carpenter, like, we can do this really cool scene where Snake is surfing. And John Carpenter's like, okay. And then
I mean, it's again the idea behind it, like with the like LA and like surfer culture and stuff, like and like the idea of having like these different gangs, and it's like the surfer gang and whatever. Okay. And I like that they're all like fucked up because they're in like this nuclear wastewater, radiated water. So it's just
yeah, Peter Fonda's like got this his skin's like peeling off, and so instead of the gladiator scene, you have the basketball scene. We talked about that. So
the editing of the basketball scene has all that, like I think they call it
when he slows down.
It's fake slow-mo.
Yeah. They just slowed the frame rate. They didn't shoot it.
Yeah. They didn't shoot it
at high speed.
Frames. Yeah.
But this film, LA, was a $50 million budget. $50 million they spent on this.
I don't know where that money went.
A lot of it went to the effects. They spent a lot of money on the effects. I don't know how. Like, it was just ridiculous. I don't know.
It's
the Happy Kingdom scene.
We need to talk a little bit more. We can't just not talk about that hang glider scene.
Oh yeah, we're going to talk about the hang glider scene.
Oh my god, I didn't remember that at all.
Pam Greer's a transgender person here.
Yeah, and Snake just goes right for the dong.
And they lower her voice.
But he's actually grabbing the gun. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if that would fly today, but somehow she has hang gliders, and so they end up. He and Pam Grier and Steve Buscemi end up and the rest of the gang, this Chinese gang, hang glide from the Hollywood sign to Disneyland.
But they're dipping around the.
They're going
shooting like they're like bats, and they have a like they're not like that. I don't know if that's exactly how hang gliders work.
Because hang gliders, you can go any way, any direction you want. You can just pull up and.
Pam
But
Grier has
God,
some
those
crazy like head helmet hair thing going on too.
yeah, that you're right. Those shots where they're like dipping
Just
around in the hang
yeah,
glide, and they're shooting. They got an Uzi in one hand, and they're shooting with the Uzi.
yeah.
Somehow, still maintaining control of the
Again,
hang
they
gliders.
and the guns they give Snake again have giant scopes on that he's not going to use because he's only going to be firing from the hip or
Right.
when armed.
Yeah.
And his like giant assault rifle just has like a scope that would be like for bird watching. Like
Because if you want to make a gun futuristic,
yeah, put some laser lights on that shit and a giant scope or two.
how about the overhead shots of Disneyland?
I'm telling you, I might like by then I'm like looking at my phone.
Did you catch the little dig on Disney there? By the way,
I don't know. I don't. I
they
guess I
never
didn't.
they never say Disney because they couldn't. They call it the Happy Kingdom, but it's clearly supposed to be Disneyland.
Yeah.
And like while they're hang gliding in, Kurt Russell, there's an overhead shot of it, and you kind of see the whole thing, and it looks like shit, but you see the ruin. This is another shot I really wish they would have got right, because I'd like to see the ruined half underwater Disneyland in this movie,
Yeah.
but it just looks terrible. You see the Matterhorn and you see the castle, and Kurt Russell says, "Is that what I think it is?" And then Steve Buscemi says, I wrote it down. He says, "It kept changing hands. The thing in Paris killed them." Talking about Disney.
Yeah.
They own the world now, by the way.
Yeah.
We're in 2021, and the Paris spoiler, the Paris thing did not kill them.
Yeah, I feel bad because this is like the whole point of the podcast is to watch the movie and then have stuff to say about it. But like after the basketball or after the hang glider scene, I fucking checked out hard.
Oh yeah. Well, all right. So
I was taking lots of rips and I was just like looking at my phone so hard. I would glance back up and I'd be like, oh, they're still fucking hang gliding and shooting.
They land in Disneyland eventually, and then there's a helicopter that comes in to get them.
But just immediately as soon as it lands, it's surrounded.
Yeah, and the guys just get torn out and you never see them again.
Yeah.
And then their gang takes it over. That whole like battle scene, which is taking place in Disneyland, supposedly, is the they call it the town hall set that they used in Back to the Future, in front of the courthouse and then the park and then like the buildings all around that are like
it's in
stores.
Gremlins as well.
Yeah, they use it in a lot of movies. But that's that set.
Oh, okay.
So, but they, dressed it to look post-apocalyptic. Gun battle, there's people shooting bullets everywhere. Nobody gets hit. Steve Buscemi's character falls like 40 feet and lives somehow. Like,
well, the whole thing is like he wants to get out and then he lands back in.
And they're shooting at the helicopter, nothing's happening. And then somebody, I think Cuervo Jones, shoots a bazooka at it, and it kills everybody in the back seat somehow. Like,
oh, and there's just like a blue screened fire directly behind. He's like, "Hey, we're coming in hot. You better fucking
not a hair on room. Not a hair on Snake's head is harmed, or the president's daughter, who's like sitting shotgun. But all the Chinese gang was all in the back, so they got wiped out by this bazooka.
Yeah.
So they crash on the other side. They've escaped from LA. And there was this whole thing with that disc, and it kept like changing hands. The thing that controls the satellite that can EMP any area.
Yeah.
The disc that controls it there's this whole like switcheroo.
Oh, there's so many switcheroos.
And then in the end, like he's got the right one, of course, and Stacy Keach has the wrong one. And
right. Well, he does the same thing where it was Cabby's tape before. Now it's Steve Buscemi's.
Yeah, he's a map to the stars guy.
Map to the stars thing. Yeah. I mean, Steve did crack me up a few times in the movie, just like his delivery and stuff.
He's Steve Buscemi.
Yeah.
I like the cast in this movie. It's just everything else. Like, so I would definitely watch Escape from LA, like just to see the bad CG. If you want to see some of the worst CG ever made,
it would be really fun to show somebody who's never seen it. and who likes movies.
Yeah. Would you say, would you have to watch them back to back, or how would you experience these the first time? Like,
I would honestly like, don't even worry about LA. Just watch New York, because
Yeah.
Escape from New York, it's awesome. And especially if you're like a young filmmaker, and just to admire the things he's doing
with
in
the
that
budget
movie.
he has, yeah.
Exactly.
And then you can watch LA for the exact opposite reason. You can see how you can have a big budget and totally blow it, and with the same premise. All right, let's do a segment that's called "What Are You Watching?" What are you watching?
I just okay, I got a couple things. My wife and I are like go to, and we're very late to the game here, the Great British Baking Show.
Oh yeah.
It's just so chill. It's not like overly
I love that
dramatized.
show.
It's not dramatized like other shows like that are.
Yeah.
Everybody has a great attitude. I love Paul and Mary Berry so fucking much. And usually the last episode, I am almost brought to tears sometimes. We really like it.
There's some heartstring moments for sure.
Yeah, that's just the good, like, we want to chill out and think about nothing.
They go through so many hosts though. I don't know where you are.
Oh shit, really? Oh, spoiler alert, man. I'm like on it's still all the same people.
Well, Paul stays through the whole thing, but everybody else changes many times. Yeah, it's
I get Mary Berry's getting old and stuff. Don't tell me she dies.
No, I think she went to another show where she does the same thing. Another
no
dessert making show where she's a judge. Well, I don't have much because I didn't really see a lot. I did see Godzilla v Kong.
How was that?
It was fine. It was the fights were cool.
And then most of the movie is a bunch of characters you don't give a fucking shit about.
The character, like the human plot, was just nonsense. It was just so dumb and bad. I couldn't even follow it. Like, there's this hollow Earth thing, and that's like the Earth is actually hollow, and that's where all the monsters live. And and now they have spaceships, even though it's like
only a few years in the future from the other ones.
Yeah, I mean, it's even
I heard about the spaceships.
You know, it's got 11 from Stranger Things, and
yeah, she was in the last Godzilla. She's like Godzilla's movie, right?
And she was
she's Team Godzilla, right?
Yeah, she was in the last movie too, and it's like, why do they have spaceships now? And they have all this technology, and it's so weird. Like, I couldn't imagine watching that. It's because that's supposed to be a shared universe with like King Kong and Kong Skull Island. And
I have a mere few feet away from me the original VHS of Godzilla versus King Kong. Like,
I have that too.
Dudes
somewhere.
in costumes.
Yeah.
And I watched it like a billion times as a 5 to 10-year-old. I bet that King Kong movie was the coolest I just wish I could be like, how much would you have, like, the Marvel movies, Endgame? I remember having all the cards that you put them together. It'd be all of them like in like cool poses, like, you know, all flying one direction, like about that being this big fight. Like,
yeah, it looked cool. I mean, the monster fights looked really cool. And
they totally stole the fight where they're on the aircraft carrier.
Yeah.
That's Evangelion.
Oh, okay. All right, gang. Thanks for joining us. Brad Patello at Brad Patello on Instagram. Gus is Mr. Trouth at Instagram. And
thanks for listening. Thanks for getting this far.